Let me tell you something right now. Life will test you. Life will push you to your breaking point. You'll find yourself in places where the walls are closing in, the road is dark, and the weight on your shoulders feels unbearable. You'll wonder if you've got anything left to fight with, if you can even make it through another day. But listen to me, your situation is not harder than God is good. You may be standing in the fire, but God is still the one who controls the flame. You may be walking through the storm, but He's still the one who commands the wind and the waves. Don't confuse the intensity of your struggle with the absence of God's strength. Just because it's heavy doesn't mean He's not with you. Just because it hurts doesn't mean He's not working. Some of you are in a place right now where your faith is being stretched beyond measure. You're asking, why me? Why this? Why now? But maybe, just maybe, God is using that pressure to produce something powerful in you. Maybe what you call a problem, He calls preparation. God never promised you a smooth road, but He promised you a sure destination. And if He brought you to it, He's strong enough to bring you through it. You might have lost the job, the friend, the relationship, but you didn't lose His favor. You might be broken, but you are not beyond repair. Because when God steps into your situation, He doesn't need perfect conditions to perform miracles. He just needs your faith to say, Lord, I still believe. The enemy wants you to think that this is the end, that it's over, that your story is finished. But what he didn't count on was the goodness of God, the kind of goodness that can take ashes and turn them into beauty, pain and turn it into purpose, tears and turn them into testimony. I don't care how deep the pit is, God's arm is longer. I don't care how heavy the mountain feels as grace climbs higher. Your situation may be tough, but God's goodness is tougher. Your battle may be fierce, but His mercy fights harder. Stop magnifying your mountain and start magnifying your Maker. Stop rehearsing your pain and start remembering His promise. Because every time you think you're out of strength, God whispers, my grace is sufficient. Every time you feel forgotten, God reminds you, I will never leave you nor forsake you. If you could see what God is doing behind the scenes, you'd stop worrying and start worshiping. You'd stop panicking and start praising. Because His goodness doesn't depend on your circumstance, it stands above it. It outlasts it, it overcomes it. So hold your head up, wipe your tears, square your shoulders. You are not defeated, you are being developed. You are not abandoned, you are being anointed. God's goodness didn't expire when life got hard. His goodness is the reason you're still here. You're not waiting on a rescue, you're walking through a revelation. Because at the end of all this, when the dust settles and the storm calms, you'll look back and realize the situation wasn't harder than God was good. And when you see that, you'll know it was never the situation that defined you. It was the goodness of God that sustained you. There are moments in life when the weight of what we carry feels heavier than our hearts can bear, when the pressure seems to crush the very breath out of our lungs. In those moments, it is easy to believe that what we are going through is greater than the God who brought us this far, but it's not. The size of your storm does not change the strength of your Savior. You may be standing in the middle of chaos, surrounded by uncertainty, but even there, God is still good. His goodness is not measured by how easy your life is, but by how faithful He remains even when everything else falls apart. The same God who stood with you in your best days is standing right beside you in your worst. The pain you feel does not cancel His purpose. The valley you're walking through does not erase His promise. Sometimes it takes a dark season to truly see the light of His goodness. You might be thinking that this season is unfair, that the battle is too big, the loss is too painful, the delay is too long. But what you see as a dead end, God sees as a setup. He's not trying to destroy you, He's trying to develop you. Every tear you've cried, every disappointment you've faced, every door that closed in your face, it's all part of the shaping process. God is strengthening your spirit, stretching your faith, and preparing you for something you wouldn't believe even if He told you. You see, His goodness is not fragile. It doesn't break under pressure, and it doesn't vanish in hardship. His goodness is built to outlast the storm. And if you hold on, if you refuse to quit, you'll see that the very thing meant to bury you becomes the thing that builds you. Some of you have been asking God to take the mountain away, but sometimes He doesn't remove it because He's teaching you to climb. You've been asking Him to calm the storm, but sometimes He lets the storm rage while He calms you. You've been begging Him for answers, but He's working in silence to build your trust. Because real faith isn't proven when the path is clear. It's proven when you keep walking in the dark, believing He's still leading you. And He is. Even when you can't feel Him, even when you can't trace Him, even when everything seems against you, His hand is still guiding you through it all. The enemy will whisper that God has forgotten you, that He's done with you, that you're alone. But that's a lie. If you were really alone, you wouldn't have made it this far. The very breath in your body is proof that God's goodness is still working in your life. There's a reason you survived what broke others. There's a reason you got back up when life knocked you down. You may not have everything you want, but you have enough to keep going. And that's because God has been sustaining you, feeding your strength with His mercy, renewing your hope with His presence. Every time you thought you were finished, His goodness said, "Not yet." Every time the world said it was over, His grace said, "There's more." The goodness of God doesn't mean you won't cry. It means you won't collapse. It doesn't mean you won't fall. It means you won't stay down. It doesn't mean the fire won't burn. It means you won't be consumed by it. You see, your situation is not greater than the one who spoke the universe into existence. The same God who parted the Red Sea, who raised the dead, who opened blind eyes and healed broken hearts, has not lost His power. He has not changed His nature. He's still mighty to save, still faithful to restore, still merciful to forgive, still powerful enough to turn your worst pain into your greatest purpose. What you're facing is not too hard for Him. It may be bigger than you, but it's not bigger than Him. You don't have to understand how He'll fix it. You just have to trust that He will. Because when God steps into your situation, He doesn't need permission, He doesn't need perfect conditions, and He doesn't need proof that you're strong enough. He only needs your faith, even if it's small, even if it's trembling. Your situation doesn't intimidate God. It doesn't catch Him off guard. He saw it coming long before you did, and He already made a way through it. The fact that you're still standing is evidence that His goodness has been holding you up all along. You're not forgotten. You're not forsaken. You're not finished. God's goodness is still greater than your pain, still deeper than your loss, still stronger than your struggle. You might be in the middle of the fight, but the victory is already written in His favor. There comes a time when your faith is not tested by what you can see, but by what you cannot understand. You look at your life and wonder why the things you prayed for haven't come to pass, why the doors you knocked on remain closed, why it seems like every time you take a step forward, something pushes you 2 steps back. You begin to question whether God is still listening, whether His promises still apply to you, whether His goodness is still real when your reality is filled with pain. But faith doesn't grow in comfort, it grows in confusion. It doesn't grow in clarity, it grows in chaos. It's in the moments when you can't trace His hand that you learn to trust His heart. The struggle isn't proof that God has abandoned you. It's proof that He's building something in you that requires pressure. The fire you're walking through isn't meant to destroy you. It's meant to refine you. When life hits hard, the human heart wants to run, to hide, to escape. But the truth is, what God is doing in you can't be developed in escape, it's developed in endurance. You don't become strong by avoiding battles. You become strong by fighting them and surviving. Every tear that fell from your eyes watered a seed of strength inside of you. Every sleepless night was a moment when heaven whispered, "Hold on, I'm still working." You may not have seen progress, but something was shifting beneath the surface. You may not have felt peace, but God was steadying your soul in the silence. You thought you were losing, but he was teaching you how to stand when everything around you was falling apart. You see, when God wants to elevate you, he doesn't always announce it. Sometimes he hides you in seasons of struggle so that he can prepare you in private before he reveals you in public. He lets you go through loneliness so that you can learn his presence is enough. He lets you experience loss so that you understand he is your true source. He lets you face opposition so that you stop depending on human approval and start depending on divine strength. Every setback is a setup. Every delay is divine design. What feels like rejection is often redirection towards something better. God never wastes a wound. He never wastes a waiting season. He uses everything, every hurt, every heartbreak, every closed door, to shape the person you are becoming. There is something powerful about the moments when you have nothing left to give, and yet you still choose to believe. That's where real faith lies, not in the shouts of celebration, but in the whispers of surrender. Not in the mountaintops of victory, but in the valleys of uncertainty. Because when your hands are empty, and your plans are broken, and your strength is gone, that's when you discover the truth that God's grace has been carrying you all along. It's not your ability that got you this far. It's his mercy. It's not your wisdom that kept you from falling. It's his goodness that refused to let go of you. Sometimes God will allow the situation to grow darker just so his light can shine brighter. He'll let the storm rage so that when he calms it, there will be no doubt who was in control. He'll let the enemy think he's winning so that when the tables turn, you'll know it was never your fight. It was God's all along. You don't have to understand the process to trust the promise. You don't have to see the end to know he's working in the middle. He's not trying to break you down, he's building you up. You're being strengthened for the place he's taking you, molded for the purpose he's designed for you, prepared for the blessings you can't yet handle. There are seasons when everything you touch seems to crumble, and it feels like nothing is working. You try harder, you pray stronger, and yet the breakthrough doesn't come. In those moments, the temptation is to think God's silence means his absence. But silence doesn't mean abandonment. A teacher is silent during the test, not because they've left, but because they've already given you everything you need to pass. God's silence is not punishment, it's preparation. He's teaching you to walk by faith, not by sight. He's developing endurance in your spirit, courage in your soul, and peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. You are being shaped in the struggle. You are being strengthened in the storm. The very pain you wish would end is producing something in you that ease never could. You cannot be promoted without pressure. You cannot be anointed without adversity. Oil only flows when the olive is crushed, and your greatness only emerges when life presses you. Don't despise the crushing. It's where purpose is born. Don't curse the darkness. It's where the light within you learns to shine. You might not see it now, but one day you will understand why it had to happen this way. The detours, the delays, the disappointments, all of it was shaping you for destiny. You'll realize that the same God who allowed the storm also sustained you in it. The same God who permitted the pain also preserved your purpose. Your current situation may be loud, but his goodness speaks louder. You might feel forgotten, but you are favored. You might feel broken, but you are being built. The hands that formed the universe are the same hands holding your life together right now. Nothing you're facing is wasted. Nothing you've endured is meaningless. The pain, the pressure, the waiting, all of it is producing something eternal within you. The goodness of God does not always show up in comfort. Sometimes it shows up in character, in courage, in the unshakable faith that remains when everything else is gone. There are seasons in life when you wake up every day and it feels like the weight of the world is pressing down on your shoulders. You try to smile, you try to keep moving, but deep down you're tired. Not just physically tired, but soul tired. Tired of fighting battles no one sees. Tired of pretending everything's okay when you're breaking inside. tired of wondering when your turn for peace will come. You've prayed, you've cried, you've waited, and yet the breakthrough hasn't come. You start to question whether God is still paying attention. But the truth is, even when it feels like heaven is silent, God is still moving. His silence is not his absence. His delay is not his denial. What looks like a standstill is often a setup for something greater. The process may be painful, but it's producing power inside you. Every hardship has a hidden purpose. Every struggle carries a secret strength. You may not see it now, but every time life pushes you down, something inside you grows stronger. The pressure you feel is not there to crush you. It's there to create something within you that ease never could. When everything you relied on falls apart, that's when you discover what's real. You begin to see that strength doesn't come from comfort. It comes from endurance. Hope doesn't grow in sunshine. It grows in storms. God uses the hard seasons not to destroy you, but to deepen you. The very pain you hate is shaping the person you're meant to become. You can't have the promise without the process, and you can't reach the next level without going through the fire that refines you. There will be days when you feel forgotten, but you're not. You are hidden on purpose. God hides you when he's getting ready to reveal something powerful. He hides you in the waiting, in the wilderness, in the lonely places where no one sees the work he's doing in you. Because if he revealed you too early, you wouldn't be ready. There's a timing to his plan, and that timing is perfect, even when it feels painful. The reason it's taking so long is because what he's building in you requires depth. Shallow roots can't hold great blessings. He's planting you deep so that when your moment comes, you won't be shaken by the storms that come with it. What you call delay, he calls development. What you call waiting, he calls working. Some of you have been walking through seasons that don't make sense. You've been faithful, you've done right, and still life seems unfair. You see others advancing while you feel stuck. You wonder why doors open for them but stay closed for you. But God is not comparing your story to anyone else's. He's writing something unique with your life, and sometimes the chapters filled with pain are the ones that carry the greatest purpose. Don't rush what he's writing. Don't despise the pages that hurt to read. Every chapter has a reason, even the dark ones. When the time is right, you'll see how it all connects. You'll realize that every delay was divine protection, every detour was redirection, and every disappointment was setting the stage for destiny. The problem is, when you're in it, you can't see the purpose. All you see is the pain. That's when you must choose faith over feelings. You must remind yourself that God is still good even when life isn't. You must speak to your soul and say, I may not understand this, but I trust him. Because faith is not about having all the answers. It's about trusting the one who does. The enemy wants you to believe that your situation is permanent, that your story is finished, that your best days are behind you. But that's not true. You are still in the middle of what God is doing. He hasn't brought you this far to leave you now. He's still writing, still weaving, still turning what the enemy meant for evil into good. Sometimes God allows you to lose things you thought you couldn't live without so you can learn that he's all you really need. He strips away the distractions so you can see his hand clearly. He removes people, positions, and plans that were never meant to define you so he can remind you who you are in him. It hurts to let go, but it hurts worse to hold on to what's keeping you from growing. There's power in release. There's freedom in surrender. When you stop fighting for what God is trying to remove, that's when peace begins to flow again. You may feel surrounded by problems, but you're also surrounded by grace. You may feel overwhelmed by fear, but you're also overshadowed by favor. The same God who opened the Red Sea is still making ways today. The same God who provided manna in the wilderness is still providing for you in silence. You might not see the miracle yet, but you are living in one. The fact that you're still here, still breathing, still fighting, still believing, that's the proof that his goodness is greater than your situation. What should have broken you built you. What was meant to end you empowered you. What was designed to take you out positioned you for something new. God's goodness doesn't depend on how easy your path is. His goodness is who He is. He's been good when you didn't deserve it, when you didn't notice it, when you didn't thank Him for it. And if He's been good before, He'll be good again. The storm doesn't cancel His promise. The struggle doesn't rewrite His word. Your faith may be trembling, but His faithfulness never will. You don't have to have it all together for Him to move. You just have to be willing to keep going. Keep believing, keep trusting, keep standing in the middle of the storm, knowing that what's surrounding you is not stronger than the God within you.